Boy, nothing new. I haven't seen everybody since they all went home last week. We didn't have any major academic issues for guys being punished this weekend, so everybody got a chance to go home and see their families and get a little breather away, and we're looking forward to getting everybody back this afternoon for practice. Fire away. Boy, I mean, meeting with the trainers today, we expect everybody to be healthy for this game. So, coming off the bye week, everybody that could be healthy should be healthy.
How has Bohanna responded last week? Was he able to do anything?
Good. He did a lot. He didn't do contact last week, but I think they've been saying now it's about 2 to 3 weeks since he's had a symptom. So he's going to do some contact today, and he should be cleared, good to go. It's a good part about a bye. Knock on wood, we can stay healthy.
Dan, when you look at working Tyler back in there, hasn't played, I guess, even if he does play, and I guess LSU for more than a month, what do you kind of expect from him, and how do you expect to kind of work that rust off?
Well, I mean, he's played a lot of football. It's one thing if he's only played a couple games. He's been here for a while. He's played a lot of football. He's been in big games. So, I obviously I see it very differently than if he was an inexperienced quarterback. I mean, it's like any situation that he's ready to go play. It's not like, boy, I haven't seen the speed of the game before, or, the atmosphere or the intensity, or an LSU defense even. He had a pretty good game against them last year.
If you got a chance to see LSU play last week, does it kind of encourage you throwing Tyler in there? Just kind of see their secondary not as equipped as it used to be, maybe?
I don't know that watching that game is encouraging. I'll tell you what, watching that game, though, it saw that there are two really, really good football teams, two of the best teams in the country, battled it right down to the wire last weekend. And, I think you look at it, one thing, you look at the explosiveness of LSU's offense, we're going to have to score some points. And, to do that, we're going to have to, execute at a very, very high level and make a lot of plays against a talented defense.
Dan, over time, Les Miles, I think, is the second highest tenured coach in the league. He's become a cartoon character to some. Eats grass, all that, the hat, all of those things. But is there a sophistication?
We all have our quirks. Right?
Yeah. Is there a sophistication though when you look at them on tape that you can see? Wow, they're properly coached. They're fundamentally sound. All those things that would not seem to be like the cartoon crazy character that he is.
No, I think he's a very good coach. I think he's got a lot of personality, and I think sometimes that can come off in a different way, but we all have our quirks. I guess I chew my game plan sometimes. I wear a visor, so I guess I have my quirks, but everybody has those, and I just think he's been, you look at the success he's had, obviously, to be in this league as long as he's been in the league, and the success that they've had, it just shows the type of coach that he is. And, it hasn't been like it's one staff. He's had turnover, had different offensive coordinators, different defensive coordinators, and still a lot of success with both over a long period of time. So he obviously runs a great program, is a very good coach, and, one of the best coaches out there.
Coach, talk about the versatility of Jamion Lewis, just being able to have an athlete like that who can also throw a pass whenever you need to.
Yeah, that was neat, right? We got to, I think one of the things, you look at guys that were high school quarterbacks, they're guys that are always attractive to everybody in recruiting, because a lot of schools, they're putting their best player at the quarterback position. So you do that, and the fact that they come in and they've thrown passes before, it'll give you some flexibility. A guy like Jamion Lewis who knows how to run the ball, as a high school running quarterback, but has thrown the ball, has taken snaps, and, now I think the one transition for those guys is getting to the position that they play, which is receiver, where they spend their most time, he's spending his most time working at. But we have several guys on our team that are former high school quarterbacks, and I think those guys do bring a lot of versatility to the table in the big picture and everything that they do.
Can you talk about the challenge of Zach Mettenberger kind of progressed throughout the year and adds a different dimension to LSU that used to be kind of a power running team?
Well, don't mistake, they're still a power running team. They're gonna line up and they're gonna be a power running team. And you know what? They've done a good job. They have 2 NFL wide receivers, and they have a quarterback that's an NFL quarterback with a big arm to get him the ball. So, which causes you a dilemma. How do you stop the power run, which is load everybody in the box, and now you're one-on-one with a bunch of NFL players out in the perimeter. And, and you can see they've done a really good job of making plays when they need to make plays. And, when you leave them one-on-one, that they're very dangerous and explosive in the pass game.
Coach, obviously you all been talked a lot about Banks and Slay being gone, and you knew you had a young secondary. But talk about what, I know you're getting into SEC play and it'll show more, but what Jamerson Love means to that secondary, getting him back a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I think he's the most experienced corner we have, which isn't a whole lot of experience. And I think in the situations, there's a lot that the young guys can learn from how he plays, how he performs as your most experienced guy. And, he's got a lot of speed, which helps him and, allows him to keep up with most anybody out there, and which is important when you want to be able to play man coverage.
Dan, what did you see from Tyler last week that kind of gave you the confidence that, yeah, he's ready, he's back to being Tyler?
Ooh, that he's back to being Tyler. No, Tyler, I think just Tyler, it's his personality and meetings and how he handles himself on the field and all that stuff that you love. Tyler loves to work. He's a hard worker, but he has a good time while he does it. And when he's able to laugh and joke and be serious, then he's kind of back to being normal, that he'll laugh and joke about certain things, but he has, he's not goofy or silly. He's professional in his preparation. He just has a good time doing it. And, it's great having that bye week where he gets to get out there and throw the ball a lot.
You said Sunday that it'll be a game day decision, but how do you maneuver through practice this week and with the snaps and the repetitions that Tyler may need with the runs?
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. The same way we probably do, Perk and Josh Robinson, and I do Preston Smith and Ryan Brown. To me, it's all the same. Guys got to be ready to play. As we saw, you're one snap away from being the guy, and it doesn't matter. The quarterback position is every position. So, we'll balance out the reps to make sure that we have 2 quarterbacks ready, a pair, and hopefully the spare with a third one, and just balance them all out during practice.
Dan, you kind of talked about it a little already, but against Auburn, you wanted to take away the run, and you were able to do that. Against Troy, you took away the pass. What do you try to game plan against LSU when you said they have that running game, but then they have that NFL quarterback too?
Well, that makes it tricky, right? You look at last week's game, you say, okay, take away the run, and what do they throw for, like 500, 450 yards, or, a big number, But you can watch some of their other games and say, okay, well, we're going to go take away the pass, and here they come. They're just going to run the ball up and down the field on you with a big physical offensive line and a talented group of running backs. So it always makes a challenge because they are a very balanced team. I know they love to run the ball, but the balance in their pass game is what makes the preparation difficult.
Dan, during the Georgia-LSU game, especially pregame, you heard a lot of people say this is big boy football. This is grown man football. There's not a whole lot of spread out kind of basketball, on the football field going on there. And yet Georgia kind of spread them out and kind of had some passing lanes to do it with. Is that kind of a misnomer that this league is a big boy football, but there's a lot of teams that quote-unquote pro style.
I
that
guess
spreads out.
as everybody looks at it, you know, I think they're over 700 yards passing in the game. So, I tell you what, I think when you look at it, I think when people talk about it, it's just the physicality in the league. You know what I mean? And it's the physicality of every phase, offense, defense, and kicking game with the size and the athletes and the players that are out there that shows that it is a physical game in every aspect. And so, you know, I think you can be physical in the pass game as you can be physical in the run game.
During the bye week, did you take any extra time with Devin Bell, and is there any thought about Evan Sobiesk maybe alternating at place kicker?
You know, the same that we do every week. We'll chart every kick. We do it with the kickers. We do it with the punters. And we chart every kick at the end. And at the end of the week, I mean, I don't know besides a statistical breakdown of a better way to do it. You know, we take every possible statistic and analyze it, and whoever had the best statistics plays.
Talk about the physical aspect of the SEC. I'm wondering your opinion on the targeting rule and how it's kind of implemented this year when the review, and even if it's reviewed and overturned, it's still a penalty. Just wondering kind of what your thoughts on that whole situation is.
I think, you know, some of the officials are put in a tough position with that because it is the point of emphasis. You know, when you make that a point of emphasis, I think, you know, I got to watch a little bit of football on Saturday, and you get to see it, and there may be some calls that were targeting. They called targeting. The ejection was overturned, but it still was a 15-yard penalty. I mean, whether it be a late hit or, you know, or something of that nature, that you could still see it. So you see the kind of the bind that some of the officials are put in. So I think, you know, in their mind, anytime you put an emphasis on any rule, you always see it every single year. When you put an emphasis on a rule, you're going to see that rule called a whole bunch. And the fact that I do think, you know, ejection from a game is such a severe penalty for not just the team, I mean, for a young man. I mean, that all the work you put in and the little opportunities you have, that I think it is right to have that ability to overturn, because I think some of those calls you'd look and you'd say, I don't think that that's an ejection, but it was a penalty, and now maybe it wasn't a targeting per se penalty, but if you didn't call it targeting, it should have been called a late hit, but because the emphasis is on targeting, they're going to call it targeting and then let the box overturn it. Does that mean, I don't know, kind of a rambled on answer, but that's kind of how you see things a lot in college football, and how they do things. I think you see it a lot on play calls, you know, where, you know, I mean, if, you know, ball comes out, was the ball carrier down? A lot of times they're going to let that go on and, you know, and just say, okay, let's just let the play finish, and if he was down, the box will overturn it. There's all of those different scenarios that happen that the officials are always in a tough bind on, and I think the emphasis by year kind of leads their path.
Could you see maybe going forward that if the ejection is overturned, then maybe the penalty will also be overturned?
Boy, I have no idea. You know, because I mean, you know, the judgment is then if it wasn't targeting, was it a late hit?
Right.
You know, and then should it have been a late hit? You know, those are the tough calls that come into it.
I'm going to take off football for a second. Dan, you make yourself visible pretty well throughout the community. How important is it for you and the players to get back to Starkville?
Well, it's always huge. You know, I mean, we're in a small college town right here, and I think everyone in not just within Starkville, I mean, especially Starkville, but really within the whole state, has a lot of pride in their university. And so I think, you know, for our guys to be out in public, for us to be around, you know, and show that, you know, our kids are part of the community. They're our guys. I tell our guys this all the time, like it or not, they're role models. And, you know, even though they're 18, 19-year-old college kids, people view them as role models. Our coaching staff, we're viewed the same way. I think we're probably viewed under a different light than most people in the community, most people at the university. But it's important that we, you know, show the pride that we have, not just in the university, but in the town, and that we always carry ourselves in that way. Good deal.